Hello. So, welcome to the show. You're watching and listening to Loose Gadgies. This week we've tweaked our list a little, so we're going to do 2022 versus 23, given its relevance. We're all in the new year. We're going to cover some questions on the past, the future. Mark hasn't told me what the questions are going to be yet, so some of them will be surprising, but he has to answer them too. So next would be fear, which is, I think, an important topic, especially for me and you, I think, Mark, in these past few years, and some of the changes, even career changes in that we've been to. We'll also cover some other things in future episodes, talking about choosing your company wisely. The 4,440 weeks, I think, was going to be a key one. And we'll go over things like sleep and alcohol and visualizing things, and even getting to talk about regrets, which is something that plays on my mind loads and something I've had to learn to control. So it'll be interesting to cover some of those things quite honestly. I think it'll make some great content. So, Mark, how are you doing? How you doing?
Good. I think just to add on what you said there, I think we came up with a list of 60 potential episodes, but we
Yeah,
want
that's a
to
lot.
hear your meaty subjects, don't we? And I think you've mentioned,
Absolutely.
we're quite open to having the odd guest on every now and then, aren't we? So,
Yeah, we've had a couple of people ask
mm,
already, and it'd be good to build a moment around that, or maybe even ask them what it is they would like to talk about or afraid to talk about, and cover it. So yeah, I'm going to have another chat with them coming up, because one of them wants to talk about some of the things he's been through in the last year, which has been a bit gruesome. So yeah, it'd be great to know what you want to hear about, and I think we'll probably get more of that as people figure out how we talk about things and what we're like in these sorts of discussions. I think the ideas will just fall into place in some of the notes. It was interesting to see on one of the comments there was to keep it real and raw. And that was one of the things I was worried about the most was, it's just me and you having a chat. But it seems from some of the personal comments I've had from friends and family and some of the comments that are on the last video, that seems to be one of the best things about it. So I'm not going to change it, and I'm going to stop worrying about it. We're just here, we're having a chat. A couple of Geordies sorting some stuff out.
yeah, I think it's important that we emphasise that this has sort of evolved from us over the last year. We were working together, and then we just evolved
Mm.
into a weekly discussion. And it's just two guys having a discussion. We
Yeah,
have an opinion about something. We probably put a bit of empathy in it, but it's just a point of view.
yeah.
We're not right and
Yeah.
we're not wrong.
Oh, absolutely. I think we realised inadvertently that we'd been coaching each other for quite
Mm,
some time. And then we acknowledged it at one point, and then we realised that the chat itself is quite deep. I've learned a lot.
mm.
I've learned a lot. Even when I'm going into my contract interviews, I've learned a lot from you, and my flow and making sure I answer the question. And I'm the absolute king of tangents, and I've reined that in quite a bit just by being honest with you about how my interview went, and then taking on what you then told me about it, and helped me notice things that, as much as I'm good at reflecting on myself, you're not always honest with yourself either, are you? Even the best reflector is gonna ignore or want to ignore certain things, or not admit that they're there. So it's helped me a lot, and I think we realised that this might help someone else.
Yeah, I
I think
think
it'd be
you,
good to
you,
flesh it
you
out.
I wrote that down actually as a wish for 2023 is that we continue to help each other, but actually if we
Uh-huh.
help one more person, then it's a success.
Yeah, and I'd be fascinated to know what other people want to talk about, and to see if that challenges me and you on something, because we've covered, Christ, I've lost count of different things we've been through, and we've always been honest about it, which I think is key. We've tried to confront it. Otherwise, there's no reason, is there? You're just talking about stuff. We always wanted to get something out of it and to be perfectly honest about it. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to know what comes up from people who listen to see if that really sticks us in a corner or something. Oh, we're going to have to talk about this. I won't feel any. I won't. I won't steer away from any of them.
No, I think it's important to understand that I'm in my mid 50s, you're in your mid 40s. We come from a generation of Geordies where the guys don't talk about stuff. I nearly use the shit word, which we have. I'm really working on my swearing for now. And guys, we don't talk like this. But I think what we want to sort of get across, especially to guys and girls and any other denomination, is that there's nothing wrong in talking.
No, and I think there's a misconception there that we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
We are thinking about it.
Yes.
The thoughts do happen, and that's one thing that took me a little while to pick up on, being that I'm very much an introvert, was many men, if not most, have thoughts about all these things and have fears, have ponderances, but there's no forum to get it out in some way or to bounce it off someone else. Unless you've got a really close group of mates, or at least one mate who's not going to judge you for wanting to talk about something, and it's that fear of judgment, I think, as a bloke, as a man, as a dude, what have you, and what that's going to mean. And of course, we just talk about out, and I've appreciated this from the very start. So to share this is a good thing.
I heard a quote. I think the quote comes from Nancy Reagan, and I know you like a cup of tea, don't you?
Aye.
You like a cup of tea. So the quote is, we're like tea bags. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Until you put us into hot water, you don't know how strong we are.
It's a good one.
And some of us, we've been fortunate enough to probably venture into the hot water and find out where we're at, and we're still sort of working it out. And and what we've worked out is we like different teas as well.
Yeah. I mean, we've definitely been through some stuff.
Yeah.
Both professionally and personally, I think. We've definitely had disagreements.
Yeah.
Stock takes. I'm surprised you haven't brought that one up yet. About my approach to the very first stock take. That was... Yeah, that was...
I'm trying to work out which list that would come on, whether that would be fear or, I don't believe what you say, only what you do, or something like that. No.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. No, it's a perfect example of how differently our minds work. It's a perfect example. And I think this is probably why we've brought it up so many times.
And somebody will probably ask in the future, how do two people that are so different end up together and doing this and, work so well together? Well, that's actually when you get into some of the other subjects about dynamics of team and culture. That's actually what you're looking for. You're looking for opposites.
Yeah, and to be fair, we are nigh on the same in humour, which I think is where the bond started. So that's definitely something I'd love to be covering.
We'll cover your drive-by shooting.
Yeah, that was the joke I told, wasn't it? In the triplets. The triplets joke.
So just to probably bring this interlude into the beginning to an end, Simon's joke is that he told me involves a drive-by shooting. This is an interview that he had with me where he told a joke and that got him the job. So
yeah, I think he'd heard it, but Darren hadn't, had he? So
I hadn't heard the joke. Definitely not.
I think maybe was it Darren that had heard it, possibly. Yeah. So 2022 versus 23. You've prepared a bit of an opener and some questions with it.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely a look forward guy, but I think it's also really good to sort of reflect, to see what you can learn about last year. So in terms of 2022, and maybe the format of how the next few weeks pans out, we might stick to the same type of questions, so you'll get used to what questions we're going to ask.
Yeah.
And so, what would you sort of say was your best positive experience from 2022?
Do you know, when when you mentioned you were going to ask this, I struggled. I'm honest, because last year it's pretty blurry with contracting and whatnot. Um, I honestly can't pick a moment. I mean, you know how my brain works. It's very easy for me to pick out something went wrong
Yeah.
quite often.
Well, okay.
And
Answer that
picking
question then. Answer the question. What sort of negative experience are you picking out from last year?
procrastination.
Okay.
I mean, I faffed around quite a bit, making all kinds of excuses about different contracts that I was going to pick up, not pick up, things I was going to apply for, not apply for. Writing me book, look at how much I faffed around that, and eventually it took me stop making notes about the book I wanted to write, and I ended starting to write this book that I got from you. I said, right, give me a situation, give me some characters, give me some other bits and pieces that I need to write about, and I'll take it as a challenge rather than me writing a book. I took it as, you know what I'm like. I love a challenge. I love people setting me a task, and going ahead and trying to complete it. And of course, I don't know how many chapters in. I need to start that again this year after all that graft I put in at the back end of last year. So I'm still feeling bad about the level I went to procrastination wise last year, and how that created anxiety I didn't need to have in money, and especially with the cost of living stuff coming up. I got myself into a really anxious situation that didn't need to happen, and in the end I did what we normally do, the little with the little voices in your head that I just started panicking and just went, right, I'm sorting it out. And what did I do? Sorted it out. But it had to get to a point where I was like, what? No. And then quickly just blasted it out. Sorted it out in a couple of weeks, and I was already working on some projects. So I ended up blasting out website number 11 and 12, I think, back end of the year, when I just stopped worrying about what it was I was doing and just went ahead and did something, and I ended up enjoying it by the end of it, rather than thinking, just stopped asking all those questions and just did it.
So if there was no barriers for last year, you could take away all of those barriers. What one thing would you have done differently last year?
I would have stuck to my original plan,
Yeah.
because the work didn't happen till sort of just after mid-year. But my plan was, look, I've got this. I had a few real life situation things to sort out at the beginning of the year, and I went, right, I'm going to give myself till the end of March, and April's going to be my busy month of applying for this, and this. And then I made some excuses and started, no, I need to get this finished. No, I need to get this finished. And I was writing the book. This is why I stopped writing it. I was using it as an excuse. No, if I get this finished. I said, well, let's be realistic. It takes time to build up a following around any new thing, especially a book. Getting yourself known, and you're not going to appeal to everybody, and then you're going to have to invest time and a bit of money into getting known. And I was like, if I get this done, I was just avoiding getting back into a contract, working for some other company and whatnot. And I just, in the end, I actually got annoyed with myself.
Yeah.
I'm fed up, and just acknowledged what I was really doing. So I stopped writing. As much as I was enjoying it, I stopped writing. Went, no, you're not allowed to write anymore until you've sorted out a contract and you've brought in X amount to cover whatever bills are coming up, and to cover me for at least. I said, look, I need money for a year. I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it, so I'm covered.
So what you're sort of saying is that by taking action, it gets you moving.
Yeah, and the daft thing is, there was I don't know why. I don't honestly know why I was avoiding it. I don't know. It's because I tend to be a bit of a hermit, and the autism side of my brain kicks in, and I have fear of having to pick the phone up and integrate with people, and in the end, none of the things that I feared actually came to pass.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm like with having this imposter syndrome. Oh, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could do that. Didn't know if I could build these websites and what. I've built 12 in 12 months. But I need to get back into doing these data warehouse things. And this sounds like a complex problem. I smashed it out in, what was it, 15 days? I ended up building a working model in 15 days. And then there was another 6 days that I've yet to hear about to arrange for this month. So the thing I'd like to take away from it is I never seem to learn from that. I know I'm going to do that again.
So what
I
does
know
that tell you about what?
I'm going to worry like that again and go, oh, this and that. I don't seem to.
What does that tell you about yourself?
Uh, there's a driver in there that's based around insecurity of some kind or lack of faith in my ability, even though I get plenty compliments. I don't have a box for compliments to go in, so they generally, just disappear over my head somewhere. And I don't remember anyone ever telling me I was bad at what I do. I've wowed plenty of people, including you. Some of the things I've done, I've even had compliments from you and some of the other guys that, the levels that we went to and what we could do and the things I enabled, but it doesn't seem to change the thought process. I've got rid of plenty vicious cycles.
Right.
When you go down a hole towards, I've got a grip of many of those things, but this is one that always escapes, and I don't know why. There's almost a fear of fixing it.
Just a quick test on your procrastination. It's easy for me to say. What are you having for your tea tonight?
It's a good question.
No.
I defrosted some stuff, so there's lamb in the fridge ready to go.
What are you having for your tea tonight?
Probably lamb.
No, what are you having for your tea tonight?
Well, I'll have the lamb steaks that's in the fridge.
You have the lamb steaks. Good decision. Well done.
But and the weird thing is, right, I like to plan what I'm eating. I like to plan my meals, but then it'll bounce around, and I will end up having the lamb. But I almost no, I don't want to set it in stone until I'm about to cook it. Even though I'll end up cooking the thing that I'm planning to cook, I feel like it's wrong to just go, right, that is definitely what is happening. It is what's going to happen. But I want to leave it like it feels loose, that I could change my mind if I wanted to. Like, I don't want this boundary around it. It's a weird sensation.
There's a subject coming up in the future, probably about time and about offloading your head on a piece of paper or a planning, which allows you to be a little bit more creative. But we'll save that for a different day. So you enjoy your lamb in between your brioche bun or whatever you have.
Nah,
Yeah.
brioche. No, don't get me started.
We're not there. I'll quickly nip through mine. So my best positive example for 2022 was I'm sitting in it. So this is my man cave in the garden, and so I built the founds for it. I was delivered a shed, and then I've insulated it, built it, put the electrics in. So that's my positive aspect of this year. So I created an office in the garden. Did that during the summer. What was interesting about that as well is that, and we'll comment on that in the future, is that I enjoy the journey more than the end.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you were actually enjoying the build. And did you eke it out?
Well, got to be careful here. Got to be careful here because the other half might listen to it, and this.
Okay,
There was this, how should we say, standoff where I was enjoying the journey, so taking my time, and then we suddenly realised we had a deadline of our daughter moving back in, and so I had to quickly push on a bit. So the last quarter of the journey was a little bit frenetic. Phonetic,
Yeah, yeah.
phoretic. What?
Frantic.
Frantic. That's it. Yeah.
Frantic from there. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah. But in what I'm learning now as I get older is that, and we'll go on that in goal setting, is that what we realize is that we enjoy the journey more than the actual achievement at the end, and I'm definitely feeling that in my sort of middle ages. Um, especially something that's a medium to long term project. So yeah, the sort of worst experience, and what I'm going to probably work out, or will work out, is that where I feel it necessary, I won't name names on some of my some of the stuff to protect the innocent. But I was doing a little bit of work mid year, and I was asked to basically not be myself and be somebody else. And in that, I tried to do it. I tried to be somebody else, and internally, I think I recognised that I was really uncomfortable. I wasn't enjoying the experience, and to the point where I discussed it with my wife, and the sense of relief at saying no, I'm not doing that, was actually turned it into a positive, although it was a negative. So that was my negative aspect of being asked to be somebody else rather than myself at 55, which is probably,
It was never that was never a good thing for you, though, was it? You've always been a bit of a force, or certainly you don't like being ingenuine or disingenuous about things. What you say
no.
is what you get.
And I mean that I'm probably, as we talk over the next few weeks, things like ego is an episode on its own. Ego, it was it because somebody was affecting my ego, and what is your ego about? Well, okay, they did upset my ego, and
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
like it.
yeah.
But the ego versus who I am naturally, and trying to be somebody that is completely outlandish and not myself was really really different. The interesting thing about it is that I did a very similar piece of work after that. It was my work, I owned it, and I enjoyed it. But because I owned it, and what it taught me was that it's probably best coming from me rather than from someone else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What would I do differently if there were no barriers from last year? I would duck a punch in the first round from my boxing event.
Ah, yes, you did that charity boxing, didn't you?
I did a charity boxing for cancer research in 3 rounds, and I missed. Well, the young gentleman that hit me so hard I had to take a stand 8 count and watch the stars go, around my head in the little cartoons when we were young, and yeah, I would duck that punch rather rapidly.
Could you have?
Ah,
Did you see it coming?
well, the honest answer is no. I never saw it coming, and it's interesting how even quickly your brain reacts to that. For the next 30 seconds after that, I was thinking, where did that come from, and how do I avoid it? And I couldn't quite work it out. And that's obviously things about your head being moved inside your brain being moved inside your head, and but yeah, it was. And at the end of the day, I can't do anything about it now, and if anybody wants to, it's on YouTube somewhere. Me getting a good pasting, which might be entertaining for some people. So yeah, yeah. What about 2023? What's your hope?
Do you know? Last year I said this is the year I've got this to sort out, and haven't seen how that year actually panned out in terms of the mission I'd set myself. I achieved things, I did, but the mission list I set wasn't unachievable for a year. It really wasn't, and yet much of it was procrastination and a little bit of fear of things. So this year, I don't like to dodge things, so I've carried things over. I went right this year. I've got my list, so obviously still single, so I'm sorting that out. Absolutely. I said that last year.
I'm not
sorting it out this
available.
year. Who says you'd be on the list?
I'd be top of the list, me.
Is it? So, yes. So, a lucky lady by the end of the year, hopefully.
Okay.
Finding one, not being one.
Right.
I'm only Simone on a Friday, obviously.
Yeah.
That old joke. So, there's that. The book, picking that back up, and I keep saying, but no, I'm tired of having these. While I love butts, this is the wrong kind of butt. All right, so I'm tired of the yeah buts. So, and no buts or ors or yeah but no, none of that. So I've got the book to get back to, which I was enjoying, as it was a project between us. You'd be reviewing it, give me some good feedback on it, and I made a bunch of changes in between. Project work, I'd like a bit more stability on that, and then building this is going to be a passion project for sure. I've got some more web work coming up. As much as I never intended to get back into web work, never, but I've enjoyed some of the creative elements, doing all the logo work, the graphic design, all of that, great. So I want to. The ideal end of year would be that, the pie in the sky stuff, perhaps, or maybe it's not. We'll be heading more towards creativity, and away from IT. So if I could get to the point where I'm writing, improving my portrait work, and doing more of this, and this becoming a living, and gradually moving away from building data warehouses and business intelligence reports and data models on different things, and I'm happy to keep some of the website work because it's quite creative. So I'd like to be. The IT work is very creative. It has to be. There are all sorts of things that you see and don't see, and have to find creative solutions to based on the budget you've got, the technology that you're being held within because they don't want to buy this, that, or the other. It's creative, but I'd like to be more artistically creative, I think. So if I can get to the end of the year and I feel like IT's just something I do, but my life's heading towards being more of an artistic type of person.
It's interesting you say
doing a lot more drawing and writing. That'd be great.
It's interesting you say artistic, because the last few years I've always picked physical journeys for the year, and they don't necessarily start at the beginning of the year. We discussed that, whether we're in or out of New Year's resolutions, but but this year I picked something that is quite creative. So I'm learning. I'm trying to learn to play the piano. So
that's on my bucket list.
yeah, so I bought myself a keyboard, and each night when I come back, I'm doing at least half an hour, and I have to say it's pretty tough, but
Yeah, it requires a lot of manual dexterity and coordination.
yeah. Let's just say I'm having to practice with my left hand rather than my right hand.
You got to, there's going to be a lot of fingering, a lot of finger work.
That's it. And as I like to say, when I come in, I see my wife and see my daughter, and then they go, "What you doing?" And I go, "I'm just off to tinkle me ivories," and
Yeah.
so that's my hopes. Obviously, I had the same as you about the podcast for this year, but it was so sort of easy. It's like, "Ooh, let's do this," But so you've covered that so great. Now, just to finish off 22-23, I've got a quick fire 10 questions. Now, this is going to test your procrastination. And because what I'm going to say is that if you don't answer pretty immediately, I'm moving on to the next one. Yeah?
Right.
Yeah? So it says 10 questions, sort of related to 22. And I'm giving you 2 options, and you have to pick one very quickly. Yeah?
Also, this is going to be a multiple choice.
I
don't have to think of the answer. I just have to pick an answer.
I want you to say the answer. So, So, are you ready? Question 1.
Yeah.
Will Smith, Chris Rock. Question 2, Russia or China?
Interesting.
Question 3, Queen or King? You haven't answered any of them, by the way.
Yeah, because
No, no, no.
I don't know what it means.
Wait, you've got. Okay, let's try again.
Like Queen of King. What do you mean?
So which if you have to choose one, which one do you choose? Queen or King? So in
Out of
20,
the ones we've already got.
well, what happened in 2022? We lost the Queen and we got a King.
Oh, then Queen, obviously.
Yeah. So go again. Smith
Oh,
or
yeah,
Rock?
I guess I just needed context.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Smith or Rock?
Interestingly,
No,
Smith. Interestingly, Smith. There's a story behind it, but
no.
that's
I
one that
don't.
we
I don't want the
haven't.
story. I don't want the story. It's quick fire. Russia or China? This is playing havoc with you.
It is because it's like picking the lesser of two evils, isn't it?
Yes, that's the challenge.
Then it would have to be China.
China. Okay. Boris or Truss?
What?
Boris or Truss?
Not Boris.
Boris. Men's football or women's football?
Oh, that's a good question. Oof. Probably women's football to some degree.
Probably women's football to a degree. Just one or the other. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. Well, because
No, 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 no.
I don't do football, but
It doesn't
there's-
matter. So, right, here's a tough one for you. Fish fingers or burger?
fish finger sandwiches.
Did you go fish fingers?
Yeah, fish finger sandwiches.
Right.
Yeah.
Harry from the royalty or William from the royalty? Harry or Will?
William,
William, yeah, good. Meghan or Kate?
Kate,
Good. Strike or negotiate?
negotiate.
Good. Ready? Gary Neville or Andy Burnham?
That's a swine. You're an absolute swine. You did that on purpose.
Eh. No.
Both absolute. They're both absolute bellends, but Burnham because it's better the devil you do than the devil you don't, right?
Interesting. You know, what do you tell me about your experience of those 10 questions? They're quick
It
fire.
doesn't. It doesn't work with my neurology. It really
Yeah.
doesn't.
So is that what we can work on this year? If on certain episodes I will be doing the quick fire questions, certain episodes you will be. And what we're working towards is we're working towards that, aren't we?
Oh yeah, but what's actually gonna happen is we're going to be getting each other back with these questions, right? So
I look forward to it.
that's all. So I'm going to be sitting there, go, right. Here we go. It's my turn.
I found honestly, Simon, I found that fascinating because maybe we got a little bit of a mix up there, but the fact that we sort of set the scene as quick fire, it's one or the other, and this really goes. You know, you can help some people out in terms of how your brain actually works. Whereas I'm quite impulsive, I will just choose one like that. Your brain is telling you, no, there has to be context in this, doesn't it?
Yeah, there has to be because I need to know what I'm admitting to. And it matters to me what I'm admitting to. I mean, I lost count of the decisions I made all the way through that.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff I went through to kind of go, this and that. Oh, that's going to sound controversial. That was probably the one part of that I stopped caring about.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll sound controversial. See, yes, but I hate lying. Lying actually causes me anxiety. So, even if it's not a nice thing to say, it's really difficult for me to not be straightforward and honest. So That was probably the easiest part, to know that if I said, "Oh, is it going to be Harry or William?" I thought, "Well, that's easy.
Mm.
That's easy in some respects." And do I mind if people disagree with me? No, I don't on that. And so the controversy of what my answer might be was less concerning than making sure that I agreed with what I said and I could back it up.
Yeah,
Why I made that choice, I can tell you why I made each of those choices.
and it's your personal preference or opinion, and you know I don't mind digressing for a few minutes, because I think this plan of 22 versus 23 has already taken longer than we anticipated. So, but what we discussed before the episode was, hopefully as this grows, we'll get some negative opinions and how we're going to deal with those opinions. And you had to choose a choice there, and you're gonna sort of you said you're going to defend that choice, or explain it, but you don't have to explain it.
I had to choose a choice.
Choose a choice. Yeah, you had to choose a choice. That's my English. That's my Geordie English.
I had to choose a choice.
Yeah.
Aye. Yes, and it was hard, specifically for maybe not just my neurology, but my personality type.
Yeah.
I imagine that's much easier for you, is it?
Well, just
you can ask yourself those questions.
well, the hardest part about them was coming up with the questions, and I didn't really give a damn about what the answers were. But it was creating it was quite difficult, but answering to me wouldn't be a problem. And it's interesting when I've seen a lot of those on other podcasts or other discussions where some of them. I think I've seen one with Tyson Fury, where at the end they do this quick fire round, and he's just like that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even think about it, unless there's a particular difficult one where, I don't know, you're asking, do you prefer apples or oranges, and you like them both equally, But if you don't really care whether you like apples or oranges, or you don't like oranges, it's easy to say apple, isn't it?
But when I see him do that, it sets me off thinking, has he already thought about those and has established his answers? Or is it that he can go, well, but does he only look at the surface of things? Does he make some very deep decisions quite quickly? So it leads me to wonder how he reached that choice so quickly. What's behind being able to go, for you, if you were to go through some of those questions yourself, how are you arriving at some of those answers like that? Like, what's your process? Is it because you've already thought about it, or you care little about the answer, or is it that you can process enough, or is it that I need more detail than you?
Yeah, I just think I don't need context to it. It's just I sort of, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares what I think about. I think in terms of setting the scene to go forward, we're playing with different lengths of these sort of episodes, and I think it's interesting that we have a loose gadgy plan, don't we? The loose gadgy plan says we plan roughly to do this, and then it depends on how long the subject lasts. So I think in terms of setting the scene for the next episode, we probably have a couple of topics that we've got lined up for the next episode. Simon, what are they?
It's a good question. I was really keen to get back on when we were talking about choosing your company wisely, and how that subject, although it sounds like that, it's actually not. Maybe it's what people think it's going to be about.
Correct.
And how I started talking to you about synchronicity and how you pass back about choosing your company wisely because of how they rub off on you and that kind of thing. It started getting quite deep. So I was really looking forward to covering that. And then I think I mentioned, the 4,440 weeks.
Yeah.
When you mentioned that last time, it really stuck with us. So I started playing with that topic, sent you a few notes, and it became something I didn't actually intend. So next time I'd love to dig into that in a way that I don't know. I didn't expect my head to go in that direction.
It's something that I'm working on at the moment. It's really about time. it's the old time management, but well, let's just call it time for argument's sake. The other one that we discussed was fear, which and fear versus anxiety. So I think before, the next time we sort of record, we'll have a couple of subjects lined up. Depending on how long it takes, we might cover one, we might cover two, but I think we want to try and see how we do with a slightly shorter version and see how we do.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see cover fear in about half an hour.
Yeah.
Cover a few variations on it. And fear, I think, is, well, it's probably always relevant. It's always relevant. I mean, even the most confident person has some fears about some things. And given we've got this new year to come ahead, we've got financial things to worry about. We've got European wars and all sorts to worry about. There's all sorts of different brands and variety of fear around at the minute. So I think as a first topic to dig into after the year in review that we've just done, I think it's a very good place to start.
And if there's a particular leading up to that, if anybody's got anything particular about fear that they might want us to discuss, we're not talking about necessarily about anxiety. We're talking about fear. Then drop us a message, whatever. We'll try and cover it.
Yeah, and I think it'd be interesting as we plan to put a little piece in the difference between the fear and anxiety. I think that's going to be quite an interesting discussion to open that thing up into how they're related, and they are separate.
I'm
being separate previously.
Yeah, my bit about fear will be going back to when I was sort of 4 or 5 years old. And what I call my first fear, which actually turned out to be nothing, but I was fearful of it, and also how fear can manifest and build itself. Just thinking about somebody that I know pretty closely that's afraid of wasps, and how that's got bigger and bigger over the years. So the fear of the thing itself, that physical thing, a wasp, but that fear has grown, and why does that happen? Because it's the same thing. So
it's compounded.
Yeah, it just gets
so
bigger.
Rather than staying the same, it's actually been added to and compounded and made worse over and over and over.
Because fear is an emotion, and we can add to that emotion, which would probably gives us that bigger sense of fear. We've discussed. I'm no expert at this. I'm not articulating myself particularly well, but I know what my mind does on certain subjects like fear. But yeah, we'll cover those over the next couple of weeks, and the techie guy amongst us, which is always going to be you, will be furiously behind the scenes getting the next episode released, won't you?
Yes, it's been educational in terms of video editing tools and there's some good free stuff out there. Like nerds like me I used to write a lot of software, and some of the video editing software out there, it's actually pretty good. Whether that's because of a lot of podcasters being about and whatnot, but it does take some work. But I would like to get us to a point where we're recording a couple, cut them up, schedule them, and coming up next, which is what I'll have out this weekend, fingers crossed, on the old procrastination, is some shorts. Some little bits and pieces. I'll repeat some of the best bits, if you like, of stuff we've done. But one thing that we haven't uploaded are the 2 rehearsal episodes we did.
Oh, yeah. Look forward to it. Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it'll be fear next time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, write me.
Your folks here.
Right. So, we'll catch you next time.
Yep.